You may have dreamed, you may have wished, you may have planned for years. But until that dream, that desire, that vision is turned into action, deliberate, decisive action, it remains no more than a beautiful lie you tell yourself to feel better. The only power a thought possesses is the power you give it through action. You must force yourself to act. Not when the time is perfect, not when you feel ready, not when the stars align, but now, this very moment. There is something within you that knows what needs to be done. It whispers when you wake up late. It tugs at you when you procrastinate. It haunts you when the day slips away and you've done nothing meaningful. That voice inside is your conscience calling you toward greatness, but it is soft and the world is loud. Unless you take action, unless you train your mind and body to respond to that call, you will drown in a sea of regret and wasted potential. Action is not a matter of convenience. It is not born from comfort. It is born from decision and discipline. You must force yourself to move. That word force is not a weakness. It is power. It is the engine that propels a man through fear, through doubt, through failure, and into triumph. No one ever stumbled their way into a life of significance. They built it, brick by brick, decision by decision, action by action. The reason so many live in quiet frustration is not because they lack dreams. It is because they refuse to demand more of themselves than their moods and circumstances allow. They wait. And waiting is the graveyard of ambition. When you wait for the right time, you have already decided to fail. Life does not pause for your readiness. Life rewards the bold, the man or woman who steps forward without permission, without certainty, and acts with intention. I tell you now, the greatest enemy you will ever face is not out there in the world, it is within your own skin. It is your laziness disguised as patience. It is your fear masquerading as caution. It is your procrastination dressed up as planning. Stop falling for the illusion. Look that enemy in the face and act. Push yourself even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. That is where the power lies. There is magic in motion. There is strength in starting. The moment you act, the entire chemistry of your being changes. Your blood flows differently. Your mind sharpens. Your soul awakens. Suddenly, possibilities expand where doubt once lived. But that transformation only happens after you move, not before. You must be willing to act without motivation, without support, without applause. You must be willing to become your own source of momentum. The successful man is not the one who waits for confidence. He creates confidence through action. You don't need motivation. You need a commitment so strong, so undeniable, that even on your worst day, you move anyway. That's how greatness is built, not by the flash of inspiration, but by the fire of consistent effort. Do you think the mountain bows to the man who complains? Do you think the world delivers its riches to those who merely wish for them? No. The mountain yields only to the one who climbs, who sweats, who bleeds, who returns again and again, refusing to be denied. The world gives its treasures only to the one who acts without compromise. You must learn to move in spite of how you feel. If you wait to feel like it, you'll wait forever. There will always be an excuse, always a reason to delay, always a fear to face. And that is why you must develop the rarest of traits, the ability to act independent of emotion, to do what must be done regardless of how you feel about it, to take action not because it's easy, but because it's right. Every time you act when it's hard, you add another layer to your strength. You build a mind that cannot be broken, a will that cannot be bent, and eventually action becomes your nature. It becomes who you are. You no longer need to push yourself because you have transformed yourself into someone who moves, who builds, who does. The man who acts becomes unstoppable. He no longer needs to fake confidence because his record of action has built a fortress of self-respect. He no longer needs to seek permission because his results speak louder than words. The world makes way for the man who knows where he is going and moves toward it with relentless energy. You must act when you are tired. You must act when you are uninspired. You must act when the world doubts you. Action is the great purifier. It washes away fear. It silences doubt. It drowns hesitation. The moment you move, your excuses begin to die. They cannot coexist with effort. One will dominate the other. Every day you hesitate, the dream decays. Every moment you wait, you empower the chains of mediocrity. But when you act, when you force yourself to rise, to speak, to build, to do, you shatter those chains, one link at a time. There is no freedom without discipline. There is no reward without the grind. There is no glory without grit. And you already know what needs to be done. The plan is not the problem, it's your willingness to act on it. Stop pretending you're confused. Stop pretending you need more time. You don't. You need action. Swift, consistent, unapologetic action. Decide what must be done and then do it. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. There will be pain, yes. But there is pain in regret, too. The difference is this: the pain of action strengthens you. The pain of inaction destroys you. Which one will you choose? Which one will you live with? One burns for a moment, the other burns for a lifetime. Let your discomfort be your signal to move. Let your fear be your fuel. Let your resistance be your guide. Because what you resist is usually the very thing that will set you free. You will never outgrow fear, but you can rise above it through action. You don't need less fear, you need more courage. And courage is not a feeling, it is a decision. You decide to rise early when your body begs for more sleep. You decide to speak up when your throat tightens. You decide to show up when you want to quit. That is the muscle of action, and it only grows by use. There is no shortcut. Only the work, only the push, only the practice of action, again and again. If you can master this, if you can become the kind of person who acts when it's hard, who moves when others freeze, you will separate yourself from the masses. You will build a life most only dream of. Because in a world of watchers, the doer is king. The one who acts becomes the author of their own destiny. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to be the strongest. You need to be the one who moves, the one who executes, the one who starts. The dream is in reach, but only if you take the step. Force yourself, not once, but every day, until it becomes who you are, until nothing can stop you. Force yourself to take the first uncomfortable step, and then the next, until momentum takes over and hesitation is drowned by your own movement. There's a hidden rhythm to life that only reveals itself to those in motion. The man who hesitates hears only noise. The man who moves begins to hear the music beneath it all. The harmony of progress, the song of purpose. But you cannot hear it from the sideline. You must enter the field. You must play. The mind, once it learns that you will act, regardless of how it feels, begins to shift in your favor. It stops arguing. It stops resisting. It learns that you are in charge. And in that moment, you become dangerous. Because now you are no longer held captive by moods or doubt. You have transcended the average man who is still waiting to feel right. You have become a force, self-directed and fully alive. There is no need to fake strength when your actions speak louder than your affirmations. There is no need to seek motivation when your habits have taken over the role. You no longer need to force yourself to move because movement is now your foundation. But to reach this state, you must go through the fire. You must do the work when no one is watching, when it's least convenient, when everything in you screams for ease. And this is the test. Will you move when nothing is pushing you? Will you rise when comfort holds you close? Will you act without recognition, without applause, without a guarantee? If the answer is yes, consistently, repeatedly, unshakably, then you are writing the story that most people only read about in books. You are becoming the example, not the observer. It is not your talent that will carry you. It is not your environment. It is not your education. It is your willingness to do the work when it's inconvenient, your refusal to surrender to temporary feelings, your obsession with progress over perfection. That is the difference. That is the edge. Somewhere right now, someone with half your intelligence, with fewer opportunities, with more obstacles, is outworking you. And they will win not because they are better, but because they move. They try, they fail, they learn, and then they move again. While you wait for clarity, they are building it. While you wait for permission, they are claiming their place. Action is the true separator. It cuts through theory. It eliminates guesswork. It refines your thinking through reality, not speculation. The man who acts gains real data. He sharpens his instincts. He learns faster than the man who only studies, only plans, only talks. And in time, he surpasses him. Not because he was more gifted, but because he dared to begin. There will be no perfect time. There will be no sign from above. The only sign you will ever get is the feeling in your gut that you are meant for more. And that feeling comes not with more thought, but with more motion. The body in motion awakens the mind. The hand that builds strengthens the heart. The man who acts finds his soul. So wake yourself up. Drag yourself out of comfort. Do not negotiate with the weaker version of you who whispers lies to keep you small. That voice may sound like you, but it is not your friend. It is the voice of mediocrity, and you must shut it down with movement. Prove it wrong. Starve it with action. Bury it beneath the weight of your discipline. There is something inside you that has waited long enough. A calling, an idea, a goal. Buried beneath the rubble of delay, dig it up, dust it off, and breathe life into it through your hands, your legs, your words. Nothing happens until you move. Dreams don't come true, they are built, and you are the builder. You are not weak. You are not incapable. You are simply unpracticed in the art of persistence, but that can change today. Discipline is not born, it is trained. It is forged through repetition, through showing up when it's hard, through saying yes when everything in you says no. You don't need more talent, you need more reps, more effort, more days stacked on top of one another, until what was once hard becomes your habit. The work will not always feel rewarding. Some days it will feel pointless, but that is a test. Because the reward does not come to the one who feels good about his effort, it comes to the one who completes the mission regardless. If you only work when it's fun, you'll never build anything that lasts. But if you can train yourself to work when it's boring, when it's thankless, when it's grueling, then there is nothing you cannot accomplish. Every excuse you've ever made, every time you said tomorrow, every promise you broke to yourself, it can all be erased, rewritten, and redeemed by one simple thing: a decision followed by immediate action. Not just once, but repeatedly. You must become the person who acts, not who plans to act, not who talks about action, but who actually moves. Because once you do, once you step forward, even in fear, even in doubt, you send a signal to your subconscious. We are no longer waiting, we are doing. That signal compounds. That signal becomes your identity, and over time you stop forcing yourself to act. You start living as if action is your only option, and that is when the world bends in your direction. You cannot outsource this. No mentor, no book, no seminar can do the reps for you. You must confront the work. You must stand in front of the resistance and walk through it. Not around it, not away from it, through it. That's where the strength lives, not in avoiding difficulty, but in choosing it deliberately. That's where the transformation happens. You don't get stronger by staying comfortable. You get stronger by picking up more than you think you can carry and proving yourself wrong. And when you do that day after day, a shift takes place. Your mindset hardens, your excuses weaken, your results begin to reflect your discipline, not your doubts. People start to notice something different about you. They can't explain it, but they feel it. It's presence, it's energy, it's earned confidence. Because nothing builds belief like consistent execution. You become trustworthy in your own eyes. You become proud, not because of results, but because of effort. And that kind of pride is unshakable. You see, motivation is like a match. It burns bright but fades fast. Discipline, however, is like an internal furnace. It burns constantly even when no one's watching. But that fire doesn't light itself. You have to strike the match every single day. You have to wake up and decide again and again and again. I will move. I will push. I will not wait to feel ready. I will create readiness through action. Stop looking for easy paths. Stop hoping someone will come along and lift you out of your struggle. Your struggle is your gift. It's your proving ground. It's where you become more. If you run from it, you stay small. If you face it, you grow. And the more you grow, the more capacity you gain for responsibility, for opportunity, for impact. Most people want the outcome, but few are willing to pay the price. The price is paid in sweat, in sacrifice, in daily discomfort. You don't stumble into success, you force yourself into it. You demand more from yourself than you think is fair. And when your mind tries to quit, you tell it to keep going, because you are in charge, not your feelings, not your fear. You. And let me tell you something most won't say. You don't need to like the work. You don't need to enjoy it. You just need to do it. Results don't care how you feel. The reward doesn't ask if you were in the mood. The dream responds only to the one who keeps showing up. Relentless, focused, unmoved by circumstance. This is how you begin to separate. This is how you begin to rise. Not with grand gestures, not with flashy statements, but with silent, powerful consistency. While others are distracted, you're building. While others are talking, you're executing. While others are making excuses, you're stacking days, stacking wins, stacking belief. You begin to crave the grind, not because it's easy, but because it gives you something nothing else can: ownership of your future. And once you realize that your life is your responsibility, not luck, not chance, not timing, you become a weapon. Because now you know the truth. As long as you can act, you can change. You are not stuck. You are not finished. You are simply one decision away from a new path. And when you stack enough of those decisions, enough of those moments where you override emotion with execution, you begin to build something extraordinary, not just in the world, but in yourself. You begin to trust your word. You begin to respect your effort. You begin to realize that you no longer need permission to succeed. You just need persistence. This isn't theory, this is law, the law of cause and effect. Action is the cause, results are the effect. If you want more effect, increase your cause. More effort, more intensity, more hours in the dirt, in the dark, before the light comes. That's where the results are born, not in the spotlight, in the shadows, in the repetition no one sees. That's where greatness is shaped. And make no mistake, this is a choice, not once but daily. You choose to move, you choose to push, you choose to be uncommon, not because it's easy, but because the cost of comfort is far too high. Comfort kills dreams. Comfort robs potential. Comfort whispers lies in your ear, telling you there's always tomorrow, but there isn't. There's only now, and now demands movement. You were not made to live in hesitation. You were not designed to watch life from the sidelines. You were made to act, to build, to rise. And that means you must force yourself, not just once, but constantly, until the forcing becomes flowing, until the effort becomes instinct, until taking action becomes who you are. That's the transformation that turns ordinary into extraordinary. Not some secret formula, not some hidden key, but the repeated decision to move forward when every part of you says, stay still. There's no brilliance in waiting. There's no genius in standing still. The genius is in the grit, in the sweat, in the 1,000 silent battles you fight against comfort and win, not by accident, but by force. And here's the truth. The most dangerous version of you is the one who doesn't need to feel like doing it to get it done. When you reach that point where action becomes default, not debate, then you've crossed into rare territory. You've entered the realm where growth is inevitable, where momentum becomes your ally, where the future starts to bend under the weight of your persistence. Most people quit before they even start. They let a bad mood, a poor night's sleep, a passing doubt talk them out of greatness. But not you, not anymore, because now you know. It's not about how you feel, it's about what you do. And the moment you embrace that, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of your energy and become the master of your destiny. Discipline is not a punishment, it's a form of self-respect. It's a declaration, I will not settle, I will not coast, I will not live on autopilot. I will direct my energy. I will command my attention. I will choose how I show up, not once in a while, but always. Because that's what winners do. They don't rise because they're better. They rise because they're more consistent. If you only act when it's easy, you're building a habit of quitting. But if you act when it's hard, when your muscles ache, when your mind resists, when your emotions scream, you're building something entirely different. You're building a foundation that cannot be cracked, a mind that cannot be shaken, a spirit that cannot be broken. And it doesn't take years. It doesn't take magic. It just takes one moment, one decision, one refusal to give in to the pull of inaction. Do that once, then again, and before long you're not forcing action anymore, you're living it, you're breathing it, you've become it, and that's when everything changes. Not because the world shifts, but because you did. You start to realize that every challenge is a gift, every obstacle is a test you want to take, because with every test passed, you grow stronger, more focused, more prepared. You stop fearing the work. You welcome it because you understand the harder the climb, the greater the view. And the view isn't just success, it's pride. It's proof. It's the quiet knowing that you did not wait. You did not shrink. You did not stall. You moved. That's power. That's freedom. And once you taste that, once you feel what it means to be in control of your behavior, regardless of the storm, you won't go back. You can't go back because average will feel unbearable. Excuses will sound ridiculous and comfort will look like a cage. So what now? You keep going. You push through one more rep, one more hour, one more mile. You stretch beyond what you thought was possible because the ceiling you feel pressing down on you is nothing more than a test, not of your talent, but of your will. Will you stop or will you rise? Will you fold or will you force yourself through? You already know the answer. You've always known. That's why you're here. That's why you feel that fire inside. It's not there to warm you, it's there to ignite you. Let it burn, let it drive you, let it consume the lies, the fear, the hesitation, and let it leave behind only one thing: action. Action is the purifier. It burns off doubt. It silences hesitation. It rewires your identity, not by magic, but by repetition. The more you act, the less room there is for fear to sit beside you. The more you move, the less weight excuses carry. Action isn't just a solution, it's the cure. It's the antidote to every negative pattern that's ever held you back. But don't mistake this for motivation. This isn't about feeling better. This is about becoming better. This is about walking into the fire willingly, because you know that on the other side is the version of you that's been clawing to get out. And the only way to meet that version is to force yourself through the part that most people avoid, the part where it's hard, boring, painful, uncertain. That's the part where you grow. That's where the shift happens. That's where the real you is born. There will be mornings where your body begs you to stay in bed, where your mind will try to justify why it's okay to wait, to delay, to sit it out. That's your signal. That's the exact moment you must move. Not tomorrow, not in an hour, now. Because the longer you wait, the louder that voice becomes. But the second you act, stand up, start, commit, it weakens. You gain ground. You take back control. It's not about massive steps. It's about immediate ones. Small but intentional. Not perfect, but done. That call you've been putting off, make it. That workout you don't feel like doing, begin it. That business idea you've been circling around for months, start it. Not because you have everything figured out, but because clarity lives on the other side of movement. Everything that matters begins with that single push against resistance. Your dream life, your freedom, your fulfillment. It all starts when you stop negotiating with delay. Every minute you hesitate, someone else is stepping into the life you said you wanted. Not because they're lucky, not because they're chosen, but because they're moving. When you start stacking days of action, something else happens. People begin to treat you differently, not because you told them what you're doing, but because they can feel what you're doing. You radiate discipline. You walk with purpose. You speak with weight, because people can smell consistency. It's magnetic, and it's rare. You don't need to tell the world you're changing. Just do the work quietly, relentlessly, and let the results speak your name. Let your transformation be so undeniable that people stop asking what you're doing and start asking how you did it. And your answer will not be some clever trick. It will be simple. I forced myself to take action. The world doesn't owe you anything for being talented. It doesn't owe you a prize for being smart. It only responds to effort, to repetition, to sweat. And if you're willing to give it that daily, hourly, obsessively, there is nothing you cannot build. Not because the road is easy, but because you're willing to walk it anyway. And yes, there will be days when you fall short. Days when you slip, when you miss the mark, when the old version of you whispers loud enough to pull you back. But that's not failure. That's part of it. The key is not perfection, it's returning to the action faster each time. Shorten the gap between the fall and the rise, and you become unstoppable. This is how warriors are built, not through perfect streaks, but through relentless comebacks. through the decision made over and over to rise, to move, to grind. And every time you do, the old version of you dies a little more, and the real you steps forward, stronger, clearer, more certain than before. So now the choice stands before you, simple, clear, and powerful. You can keep waiting, you can keep making plans, collecting ideas, hoping that someday the stars will align and you'll feel ready, or you can make the decision that very few ever do. You can act. You can force yourself forward, not because it's easy, not because it feels good, but because you must. The life you want, the future you see in your quiet moments, the strength you know is buried inside. It will not reveal itself through thought. It will not show up through talk. It will come only through movement, through days and nights of disciplined, focused, committed action. That is the price. That is the path. And now it is yours to walk. So don't wait for the right time, create it. Don't wish for motivation, generate it. Don't dream of change, become it. Because once you move, truly move, you awaken something deep, something permanent. And that force, once set in motion, makes you impossible to stop. Start now. Start scared. Start tired. Start unsure, but start. And don't stop. Not until the world sees what you already know, that nothing can stand in the way of a person who refuses to sit still.